everybody, this is Lying Figure, and today we're playing Silent Hill, of course, Silent Hill 4, to be more exact. So let me just give you a quick rundown. What's going on right now is, well, sorry, there's a big haunting here, and I want to get rid of it. Yeah, that's working. Alright, so I left off the last part saying I was going to grab some grab some items. I was going to sort out my inventory, but I decided the part was long enough. I think it's over an hour. I haven't cut it together just yet, but it was so long I figured, let's just do a whole nother part, because we're going to have a big cutscene and a boss fight, and then cutscene and credits, and I'm going to talk about the game for a while. Probably take half an hour, so I don't want to put out like an hour and 40-minute part. I'll split it up. So, sorry for that. Possibly inconvenient timing for anybody, but it is a new day, and I'm feeling very revitalized about this game. This will be the final part, and the main reason I'm excited is because I've done something that I think may give us the good ending, or a good ending, one of the best endings. And I explained before, there's 4 endings to the game, and what decides it is 1, the hauntings, and 2, Eileen's health. So essentially, when Eileen gets hurt enough, she gets weakened and can be possessed by Walter, and hence the speaking in tongues and all that nonsense that we saw earlier. And the other thing is the hauntings, of course. If you clear out 80% or more of the hauntings, you will get a fairly good ending. And if you keep Eileen in good enough health, it will help you a lot with the final boss fight. Of course, there's still stuff you need to do in the final boss fight that will affect the ending that you get as far as Eileen goes. But essentially, the more hurt she is, the harder it is to get a good ending. And my Eileen was beat all to hell, as everyone was telling me in the comments, and of course I know, and really it's hard not to do that. I was able to do it easily on my first time through the game. First full time through. I played it first. I got about 80 some percent through the game, and then the second time I played it, I made it all the way through. And on that second time, I made it through without hurting her practically at all somehow. And I was on normal. I've been playing this on easy, and I'm shocked that she's gotten so beat up, but as a lot of people say, it's hard to commentate and also play well at the same time. And so, essentially, what I did was, Eileen was all beat up, and you can heal her, albeit temporarily, if you put some holy candles next to her. So what I did was, at the point where you lose Eileen, where you get the umbilical cord and you get a cutscene and she runs off, that's where the game decides, alright, this is the Eileen that you have for the final ending sequence. So what I did was I took 2 holy candles and set them down on the floor next to her, and waited until she had practically no visual damage on her at all, and then I ran in the room and grabbed the umbilical cord. And I think it might have worked, because even in the cutscene she was normal looking, as opposed to in the last part, if you saw, she was very beat up in the cutscene. You could barely see her face because of all the blood and magic red stuff. And it worked when I did it this time. I didn't record it, but hopefully that means that it'll go well in the ending. If not, I have the good ending laying around that or the best ending. I'll add it to the video at the end just to talk about it. But so as of right now, I have no clue what ending we're gonna get. But that's okay. Anyways, let's organize our items. So we haven't used most of our really good health items. We've never used an ampoule. We've never used a med kit. So we do need the umbilical cord for the final fight, because if you remember in some of the notes, it talks about how we need the flesh of the mother and the child to defeat the Conjurer, who is the final boss, in some of Joseph Strieber's notes. And, of course, Eileen, I guess, dropped this, doesn't have it anymore, so we can store it away. And we do want the rusty axe. It's this most powerful weapon in the game. except for maybe the Pickaxe of Despair, but we didn't get that. And the Pickaxe of like damage per second, the Rusty Axe is much more powerful. So all we really need is our health items, the best ones we have, and usually it's good to have about four what do you call it, inventory slots open. So we've got 5 right now. So and we have 10 overall. So I'll take up 6, and that way we have 4. And it's actually, you know what, I can actually take another item because once we use the umbilical cord, it will leave our inventory. So let's just grab another med kit here. I do have 9 nutrition drinks. This is way more supplies than I expected to end up with, but hey, it's good. I would take the gun, the revolver, and all its ammo, but that's a ton of inventory space. I would take, all of this is just useless. It's subpar, because it either takes up too much inventory space or it's not as strong as the Rusty Axe. So, no point. So we will have, we got 7 items there. I'm going to save the game, and we should be good to go. Because if you remember, Eileen ran off for room 302, and we are in room 302 now. So all we can do is go ahead and go in the hole and see what's... Oh, there's a banging. There's a banging in our... Is that our laundry room? It is. There's a new stuff here, it looks like. Huh. These books look new. Oh. It's this note I was looking for. Alright. He used this place as the locus for the creation of his world. I'm certain I'm certain he must have performed the ritual of the Holy Assumption near here, but I'm just not strong enough to stop him anymore. He locked me up in this room and played with me just like a toy. My eyes are starting to go blind. The pain. I can feel my body starting to die, but things are taken care of. Whoever lives here after me, you'll be the 21st, the last of the sacrifices. I leave it up to you. When the bell tolls, the ritual begins. Eileen equals the mother's body, blood. Part of the mother's flesh equals the super's room. This is all that I've been able to figure out. I hope this letter gets to you in time. So, part of the mother's flesh equals the super's room. Super's room is Frank Sunderland's room. He had the umbilical cord. Mother's flesh, umbilical cord. So, it's a required item. Joseph Schreiber. Thank you, Joseph. I am the last of the 21st sacraments. We can go in this hole, but it just takes us to room 302 of the past, which is the room 302 we saw with the goofy-looking Joseph coming out of the ceiling and all that in the cutscene. So we checked that out. We saw the note. Let's take one more look around the apartment. Let's just see if there's anything anywhere. I don't think there is, though. Maybe in the bedroom. We missed some really good hauntings, unfortunately. Let me talk about them real quick. I'll show you a picture right here. This picture of the Balkan Church from Silent Hill 1 is one of the best hauntings, is that it's the dead body face of Walter Sullivan will appear here, which is it's one of the scariest ones, because when you first come back through the hole to this world, you wake up and it's just staring at you right there. It's pretty creepy. I believe there's one, you might be able to find a body in the closet. I can't remember the exact specifications of that. And there's a few others that are really good. If I forget any, I'll definitely add them. But one that is on the top of my mind right now is you can sometimes get a knock on the door, or your bell will ring, And if you look out the peephole, you'll see this, which is Henry bleeding. Of course, it's like ghost victim Henry. There's also a few random occurrences that we just didn't get, unfortunately. I believe there's one where the phone will ring. This might be a haunting, I can't remember, but someone will say, "I'm watching you. I'm always watching you." And I mean, there's all sorts of really creepy things. I think there's one where if you go to the peephole, you can see Walter, and he looks at you and walks away. Although I don't think that's a haunting. It's just something that happens at one point in the game. Well, it's a random occurrence, as these games tend to have. And so, I mean, it's just filled with stuff like that. That unfortunately got the same cracked wall thing 3 or 4 times. We did get the haunted chair, which is pretty funny. I like that one. But we got mostly the mundane ones. We got the TV set. We got the windows rattling. The ghost one is pretty good. But I mean, besides that, I can't. I mean, the fridge one with the dead cat, that was cool. Otherwise, we didn't get a lot of the cool ones that I described, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, um, you know, seeing them like I showed you is good enough. It's not a huge loss or down or anything. Let's take one more look out the window. Of course, there's nobody in the apartments right now. And looks like nothing's changed. No Robbie the Rabbit balloon. Now we can head off. I just wanted to make sure I cover everything before I head to what is essentially the end game. We come into the room and notice that the body of Walter is in fact gone. And I think I said before, but just remember these black feathers, because there's something interesting about them. Walter's body is gone. Where could it be? I don't know. And the depression. Wait a minute. This is no normal depression. When I stare into it, I feel like I could be sucked in. It's like it's connected to some other dimension. Or maybe it's like a hole that, once you enter, you can never leave. What a subtle way to tell you that this is the end game. Sorry while I roll around in my chair. Will you go in? Yes, let's do it. Okay, so I want to point out that we were healed. We had a little, like, one notch off our health, and now we have full health. We came in through this creepy red hole depression thing, and when we began, we're in a giant red room, and Henry was curled up into a ball. He was in the fetal position, as they call it. No coincidence, considering the maternal themes of the game, and especially where we are, getting into the deepest parts of Walter. And here we can see some silhouettes of bodies. They have different builds and so on. This one's a fatter man. There are some normal men. There's some women. These are, of course, victims of Walter's. We can assume the fatter man is maybe Andrew DeSalvo and so on. And I don't think attacking them will do anything. So, looks like there's no door. All we can do is enter the hole.
Just a little longer now. Henry, you're it. The last of the 21 sacraments. The final sign. The receiver of wisdom.
Okay, so the giant ball spinning in the center is called the death machine. And forgive me if I'm speaking quickly or not explaining many things. It is for good reason. So of course we're in this giant room. I just used the umbilical cord on this creature, which is called the Conjurer. And we are getting some flashes of Eileen walking towards the pit of death, into this giant bloody hole machine. It's called the death machine. It's actually quite hard to find my way around when I keep getting flashes of that. So, as you can see, Eileen looks pretty damaged, which essentially means that my method didn't work, which is okay. You know, I kind of expected it. And we're gonna go ahead and take all these spears. And, of course, it's crippling Walter because this is him, in a way. And it looks like Eileen's about to go in. Yep. So there's not much you can do about that except for not suck ass. Whoa. Walter's teleporting behind me. Psh, nothing personal, Henry. I'm pretty sure Eileen just died. Yeah, she died. So, yeah. There's nothing that you can do about that except for not suck huge ass throughout the game. Unfortunately, I sucked some huge ass throughout the game, so... That looks so funny. So, this guy's called the Conjurer. He's kind of Walter, he's kind of Walter's mother. He is a lot of things in a way. But you notice in the beginning cutscene, or right here, if you look behind his neck, he's got some black feathers back there. That's just like on the little cross thing where Walter's body was. I was pointing out the black feathers. That's just what I wanted you to notice, is that consistency of design. And there are 8 spears here. And that's symbolic of the original 8 victims, these different silhouettes. And I believe I've used them all on him now. And now that the Conjurer is weak, which is kind of the spirit, we now have made Walter's body not actually invincible. So now we can... that was a silly attack. Now we can actually hurt Walter. Instead of... Otherwise, he had a black shade around him, kind of, which was to symbolize he was invisible. I'm gonna take him down. And this is pretty difficult, frustrating fight. You have to be in just the right range, otherwise he keeps doing that spinning attack. I got closer. Alright. That's about right there. Oh. We just need to wind around him. Ah, damn it. We'll get him, no worries. We have enough health items to last us. See, that did quite a bit of damage, because the Conjurer is screaming. Oh, that was it.
And now the news. Yesterday in Ashfield and the woods near Silent Hill, the bodies of 5 men and women were discovered. The police reported that all the murders appeared to be the work of the same perpetrator. They are continuing their investigation. 4 of the victims were found dead at the scene, and the 5th victim, a Miss Eileen Galvin, was transported to St. Jerome's Hospital, where she died a short time later. Police say that Miss Galvin's injuries matched exactly those of the other victims.
Eileen.
Alright, so I did get one of the technically bad endings. Here's our nice game results screen. We got the Eileen's death ending, 6 hours 41 minutes, 234 enemies defeated. That's pretty. We only missed one memo. That's pretty good. Let me just go to the main here so that we can save the game. A brand new fear. So that means it's basically New Game Plus. Let me talk a bit about the different endings. We got the ending called Eileen's Death. So in all the endings, basically, what happens is... let me just turn this music off. There it is. Okay. So... Can I... Oh, there we go. So there's a few different endings. There's 4 to be exact. We got Eileen's death, which I believe counts as one of the bad endings because it's you are selfish and without compassion because you didn't protect Eileen. But it's not the worst ending. The worst ending is called 21 Sacraments, which is where you don't clear 80% of the hauntings in your room and you let Eileen die. Essentially what happens is you die to Walter no matter what happens. He'll kill you in the final cutscene. He completes the 21 Sacraments, which leads to essentially reviving the mother of the cult, giving Walter what he wanted, a mother in a way, reviving the god of the cult, I mean, and then she brings forth, or the demon, whatever you want to call it, hell on earth, basically. It doesn't show that explicitly, but that's the implication because that's always been the cult's goal. Once they get the god fully in power and into the world. So that's the worst ending. We got Eileen's death, which implies that we were all in a dream, basically, and that is consistent with the other endings as well, except for we woke up, room 302 and the building was no longer haunted. The evil was no more, but sadly Eileen couldn't be saved. And we let her die, and Henry was very sad about that, because, as we find out in the best ending, called Escape, he has feelings for her. And in the best ending, Escape, I'll show it here.
Thanks. Aww. Guess we'll have to find a new place to live, huh?
Right. So basically, what happens is that Henry succeeds. He kills Walter and the Conjurer before Walter can get to or complete the 21 sacraments. Saves Eileen. This happens when you clear 80% of the hauntings. Basically, you purify the building. You get rid of Walter's spirit in all ways, and you basically eradicate what's left of the cult after Silent Hill 3. And all's well and good. You go to the hospital, see Eileen, and have some nice friendly banter, and then you give her flowers, and Henry is in love with her, and she loves him, presumably. And the last other ending is called Mother, which happens when you don't clear 80% of the hauntings, but you do save Eileen. Essentially, what happens is Henry and Eileen escape. Everybody, they both live, but the issue is Walter is kind of dead, kind of not. There's some hinting that he's not, but it shows him being vaporized. But there's some hints that it will happen again because he didn't clear the rooms of the hauntings. The evil of the cult is still there, and essentially, the room will continue to haunt and trap whoever comes into it next, which is it's pretty good. So all the endings are pretty cool. They're good. Unfortunately, we got one of the bad endings, but to be expected because I played so poorly. I hoped my trick would work, but it did not. So I guess there's not much more else to say about Silent Hill 4. There's a few supplementary materials for the game. Just real quick about the Conjurer, the big skin stretched monster we were stabbing spears into. I would talk about the symbolism of the Conjurer, but there's really not much to say. It's just kind of the only really thing noteworthy was the black feathers, which I already pointed out. Besides that, I mean, the skin is stretched and all that. It's essentially Walter's real form. It's what his dead body became when it moved down there into the extra hellish dimension. That's what that dead body became. It stretched out, hence the black feathers and all that. But besides that, not much to say about it. The big spinning ball was called the Death Machine, and that's what we saw in the picture when we left the Super's room to run back to room 302 before the boss fight. And it was implying, of course, that Henry wanted to kill someone with the giant death machine. That's what it's technically called, like in canon. I'm not just making that up. It's a pretty silly contraption, but it's implied that Walter designed it when he was a little kid, so it makes sense. Besides that, there's not much to say besides all I've said so far. There are some supplementary materials like I was saying. There's a few short stories under the name Another Crimson Tome, which just tells about how Walter met Eileen and Cynthia in the past, but I talked about those, I summarized them. They're pretty long, and honestly, they're not really worth reading. All they really do is make a connection to the game that's already implied in the game. That's not essential. And the other thing is the victim files, which has 1 through 21, all the names of the victims, their silhouettes, how they died, theme of their death, and so on and so forth. And those are I've debated making a video about them. I was planning on it at the beginning of this playthrough, but now that I've gone through everything, I've looked at all of the slides. I collected all of them, planning on making the video, but they're really not worth looking at. I mean, most of them are just generic people. I already pointed out the ones that were noteworthy. Talked about their names. I talked about Steve Garland, who's related to Lisa Garland, most likely. Otherwise, there's not much to say about them. They just kind of say, like, he was this guy and he liked this, and then he died in this way to Walter. It's not, and he had this number on him. Otherwise, there's not much to say. We already know all the big ones. We've talked about Billy and Miriam Locane and the themes of all the people that we saw, Jasper and Cynthia and so on. And so it's not really worth showing that even. So unless I think of something else to add here, this will probably be it. So thank you very much for watching Silent Hill 4 The Room. I'm sorry if I've disappointed you with the sort of bad ending that we got, but hey, you can't save them all. And as you remember, if you watched the playthrough, Eileen was kind of a annoying bitch. So she got what was coming to her. Thank you for watching.